Hey, welcome back to Rust Order Garage and the 61 Rambler Rock Box Station Wagon project. Working on the back of the car, the rear structure, the last pieces of basically structure that were completely rotted away, and we cut that out in the last video, and I'm going to rebuild sort of that area, and I'll show you some of it because people want to see it. So if you don't want to see the actual details, you can fast forward, but I guess it's more fun to document the whole build regardless. But first, let me say something about the Studebaker Hawks. So, the Golden Hawk has brought out quite the opinions of people. The Silver Hawk that I bought to possibly, well, it's going to be used for parts for both my 61 and the Golden Hawk. And maybe I'll build it into another car because I'm not going to totally strip it. So it may turn into something else. That's still on the trailer over there, because I got called into work because we've been having some issues. So I've been pretty busy there, but trying to get this stuff done as well. But let me just say, some people are not happy that I own that Golden Hawk. People get really upset when somebody's not going to, what should I say, approach a car build as they would. And all I can say to that is, that's fine. You're entitled to your opinion. Most of the cars that I build, in fact, 99% of the cars that I build, are cars that have been discarded, abandoned, left for scrap, and basically considered cars that are so rough that nobody would ever touch them. However, I bring them back to life. I put them back on the road and drive them everywhere. So my opinion as far as the Golden Hawk or any of these cars that I build is, I'm happy that I'm saving them, and I appreciate the styling and the design of these cars. I love these older cars. Most of the stuff I build lately, last 10 years, has been 1930s, say mid to late 30s Art Deco, up into the 50s and 60s. Before that, I did muscle cars. But I really love these earlier cars. However, I prefer to drive them. So, with that in mind, the fact that I want to drive them and the fact that I love doing the fabrication, problem solving, and doing different things, I'm going to be updating the suspension and the drivetrain and the wiring and the fuel system and everything else other than the styling of the car on just about everything I own, because that's how I like to do it. That is why I buy cars that are not finished, that are not built to somebody else's specifications. Most of the cars, like I said, are discarded. They are a clean slate that I can do anything with. Now, that said, I'm not a total barbarian, okay? I get that some cars should be restored to stock. They are special, and there are other models that you can update. Just like forever, I did Chevelles, Camaros, Novas. You have super sport models and you have basic Malibu models. It'd be better to take a numbers matching super sport car and restore it to original. It's a piece of history. It is something that is important and should be saved. If I'm going to build a crazy Chevelle, I'm going to go find a Malibu. I'm not going to find a numbers matching super sport. That said, as I said in the previous video, the Golden Hawk, I sold it to a friend of mine. He is more of a stock original type guy as well as a hot rodder. And I understand that a Golden Hawk is not your average Hawk. I do not want to modify that car the way I normally do. And even so, if I did build the Golden Hawk the way I would build it, you would not know it's modified unless I pop the hood. You'll find that out when I build my 61 Hawk, because when I build my 61 Hawk, it's going to look just like a 61 Hawk. However, it's going to have better brakes, better drivetrain, better suspension. It's going to freaking be an awesome driver, but it's going to look just like a 61 Hawk. So if I kept the hood down, it's basically going to look just like I found it, and somebody walking up on it would think it was an unrestored original Hawk until I pop the hood, or they get underneath and start digging around. But again, everybody has their own opinions on how they want to build a car. I love these older cars, and I love building them the way I want to build them. So, rant off. If you have other opinions, that's fine. I respect it. But I'm going to build my stuff my way. Oh, and one other thing. I could talk forever, but I don't want to do that. For the guys that do get it, and do understand what I'm doing here and saving this stuff, which was basically ready for the crusher. In fact, the guy I bought the Golden Hawk from, that car was for sale for quite a while. He told me if I didn't buy that car, it was getting crushed. There you go. It happens all the time. For those who get it and understand what I'm doing, I'd like to have a beer with you sometime. We can discuss all this stuff. I'll run into some of you someday, I'm sure. But anyway, that said, thank you for those who do support and understand what I'm doing, and I really appreciate those who watch the channel and are subscribing. Even if you're not into the make and model that I'm building, hopefully you're having fun like me, and this weird stuff is just fun to do. So, all right, that said, let's get back to some boring welding and fabrication. All right, so I am back under the car. I've got it lowered down some to try to minimize the spitting and popping of the weld slag flying on me and set me on fire, because this stuff's rough and it's hard to get clean. It's also thin, so it's hard to get the heat adjustment right so that you can get a decent weld with the rust and not blow through everything. So it's quite a challenge, but at least it's in a place where if it's ugly, it really doesn't matter as long as it's burned in good and it's solid. So I'm going to put a bar in the back here, build this up. It's what was originally here, and reality is nothing needs to be here anymore because now we're on a chassis and it really wouldn't be doing anything. However, I'm going to do it anyway and put some structure back here because I'm still undecided whether this body is going to go on a rotisserie or if I'm just going to put it in the air and work underneath it, depending on how much I want to burn myself. So I'm going to put a bar back here with some strength so that if I do decide to put this on a rotisserie, I have something to mount to so we can get it set up. So first thing I'm going to do, and this is the very rear tail pan of the car and it has some holes in it and such, but that can be fixed from the outside if I decide to fix it. Right now, I'm just going to weld some flat steel on the inside of this and basically build a box. Rather than just weld in a piece of box steel, I'm going to do it in sections so that I can weld each piece to the car and to itself for maximum grip, I guess you could say, to hold on to this thing, rather than just a piece of tube steel, which might be welded on the sides and in the front, but not on the inside. So I've got the first piece clamped up here. Get that welded in and then go for number 2. And I found the best way to work with this thin, rusty metal is kind of spot welding rather than long, drawn-out beads, which isn't nearly as pretty for sure, but it does do the job and gets good penetration. So we're going to be doing a whole lot of spot welding. All right, I'm going to keep running around doing that. We'll come back, we'll get on the second piece. All right, this first piece is burned in. I'm just going to do one side at a time, show you what I'm doing here. So that's in there. Next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to build a section over here in a corner out of some heavier, even heavier stuff. And probably, I don't know if I'll weld a nut inside it or make it so I could bolt to it if I needed to. Or if we put a hitch on the car, you could bolt it to it. So, yeah, we'll make something over here in the corner, and that'll be the next piece. All right, next piece to the puzzle. I found some heavy 1/4-inch plate elbows here, brackets from something, and I welded some 1/2-inch nuts in the bottom of it. And they're going to mount one on each side, something like that. And then I'll have bolts that can thread in from underneath to attach to the car. And then once those are welded in on each side, I'll box this off and probably make a smaller tube along the center so I have something to weld to for the braces for the gas tank. So get this welded in there and move to the next piece. All right, that corner piece is in there. That's not going anywhere. That's burned in good. That's like 1/4 inch thick plate. That's good. And it's got 1/2 inch nuts welded inside of it. That's not going anywhere. So I'm going to do the same thing now on the other side. Fix that. Put this back in on the other side. And then you can see where I have to make repairs to the outer valance. That'll be last and later if I decide to do it. It's behind the bumper. Who knows? Maybe I won't even bother with it. It's a cool rat rod. Got my light back on. I forgot about my light. Get you set up slightly stable here. All right, next piece clamped in place. We'll weld that in. It's already looking so much better than it was. I mean, it was a completely rotted out area. So it's becoming metal again. I think we've really put a dent in the rust on this car. There really isn't much left other than just patching in repaired areas where I cut stuff out. This was the last area that was, I guess, left of the original structure that was rotted away. So once this is done, things are actually starting to look decent. All right. Another day out in the garage, or at least some hours out in the garage to work on the Rambler. A little bit of a later start. There's a Golden Hawk over there. That's getting picked up today. Had to go get these this morning. Coker Classics 15s. They're expensive tires. I got all 4 multi-pattern wheels. $50. I had to go get them immediately. Too good of a deal. I have a project that I think these will be perfect for. Now, they're not going to look like this when I'm done with them, but you'll just have to wait and see when we get to that point. Meantime, back to the Rambler. All right, here's where I am. I've got both corners in, and I found some square box steel, and that'll get welded in for the inside, and that'll be plenty strong to mount the gas tank hangers to, the bolts or whatever for that when that comes time. And that'll finish up boxing in the back here. So get that welded in, see what it looks like. All right, box tubing is welded in. It is burned in 100%. You can pick the car up by that. Even if it does look like Stevie Wonder welding, which it pretty much is, because I can see about as well as him, but it'll work, and it's not going to move. So, next things will be gas tank fitment, figuring out where the supports are going to be, straps, all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to end this video here. I'm going to try to do the videos in, I don't know what we want to say, steps of building the car, I guess. Try to break them up into the mini projects that they are. So the next one will be figuring out the gas tank and the mounts and strap mounts and all that kind of stuff, because I feel like if I add it into the video, it could turn into running into next week, because I just don't know how long things are going to take. So at least that section's done, and we're getting closer to getting the body off the frame and then getting on to final assembly. So I got some other stuff to do. So the Golden Hawk is getting picked up today, so we're going to meet my buddy to get that done, and probably shuffle the Silver Hawk into the corner and let my body recover from all the welding and the sunburn I'll probably have, but we'll see how it goes. But yeah, getting there. And what else was I going to say? I'll save that for next time. All right, that's it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for following along. Thank you very much for subscribing. See you on the next one. Later.